This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button for up-to-date immigration news. Today I'm going to be talking about out-of-time applications, indefinite leave to remain, in the light of an important new Court of Appeal case. The big issue, put shortly, is that if you do not make an application in time, firstly your application could be refused, and secondly it could end up denying you the opportunity of applying for indefinite leave to remain. So, importantly, has your visa application been made in time? This is of massive importance. There have been some recent changes in the law, and so therefore it's important not to be caught out. Some of these changes have been favourable. I talked about them in my previous video, but this one is not. So if you're thinking of making an application or your visa is about to expire, then do get in touch with me as soon as possible if you'd like some help to make sure that you make the right type of application and you make it in time and you make a proper application. Today I'm going to discuss in particular the new case of Ali, which has heard and decided in the Court of Appeal, and the issue of whether immigration applications have been made in time or not. It sounds simple, but it's not quite. The issue in the case was whether an immigration application needs to be made before the expiry of the last visa, or whether it can be submitted in the grace period permitted in the immigration rules and still be considered in time. This is related, as I've mentioned in my previous video, on indefinite leave to remain, where gaps were overlooked and can be overlooked, and bookended periods of leave count towards indefinite leave to remain. But careful attention is to be paid to this case by anyone who has temporary or limited leave to remain, as any gap could be fatal to you. The question was, what happens in a case where you make a visa application and it's refused, and then within the grace period you make a new application? This is what happened in the case of Ali. In fact, this is exactly what happened. Mr. Ali made an application for a new visa before his old one expired, so it was in time. This was refused, and so then he applied again within the 14-day grace period. This application was also refused. So then he tried again to make an argument that his application was made in time, as it was made within the 14-day grace period following the refusal of the other application. The Home Office disagreed as part of their crusade, as it were, of making life as difficult as possible for migrants. Mr. Ali was successful in the upper tribunal in persuading that because he'd made the application within the grace period, even though the earlier application had been refused, that his leave continued and the application was made in time. However, the Home Office weren't satisfied with that and appealed to the Court of Appeal. Unfortunately and crucially, Mr. Ali lost his case in the Court of Appeal, who held that he could only get 2 attempts at making an in-time application. This is incredibly frustrating, as the immigration rules are a complete mess, and this case had to go all the way up to the Court of Appeal to decide something as simple as what in time means. It's also disappointing that the Home Office continued to try and find ways to make life as difficult as possible for those seeking to regularise their status in the United Kingdom. With all the pressures of the Home Office and the court system, it is vital that you get your application off in plenty of time. This is the first application, because, as I say, in Mr. Ali's case, it was refused, and then he thought he could make another application within the grace period, but that was refused, and it was treated as being out of time, and that's a ground for refusal. So it is vital, if you're thinking of making an application, make sure you make it in time. Make sure you give yourself lots of time to make the application, because not only does the application need to be made in time, but it also needs to be made thoroughly. With that, I'll leave you with the fact that merely making an extension application, if you've perhaps been granted 2.5 years leave, filling in the form and sending it off to the Home Office, might get you an extension, or alternatively the Home Office might refuse it on the basis that there's no evidence that the original reason for you being granted leave continues. So if you are thinking of making any type of visa application, whether it's a renewal or an extension, or you're applying for indefinite leave to remain, please get professional advice. I'm here to help if you want my help. If not, use another reputable lawyer, but please do it properly. Thank you again for watching. Please stay safe in these dangerous times and please subscribe to my channel. This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers.